Jim Farley says that he has a strategy for stopping Ford dealers from gouging customers and destroying Ford's brand. And this is what it is. Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Electric Viking. My name is Sam Evans, coming to you here from Melbourne, Australia. Welcome to all your new subscribers. Great to have you here. Welcome to everyone else. Great to have you too. Now, we've made 1,000 videos over the last 6 months. Make sure you check some of those out. Click the little icon notification bell so that you actually get updated with our videos every day. If you don't do that, you're not going to get updated with our videos every day. And obviously, we're the only YouTube channel that reports on most things happening in the EV space. I reported not that long ago on Ford dealers applying these astronomical markups to their electric vehicles. Now, sadly, Ford are not the only ones doing it. Kia are doing it. Hyundai are doing it. How do I know this? Well, buyers who've actually placed orders have contacted me, sent me emails telling me it's happened to them. Kia, for example, just said to someone who placed an order that unless that person is willing to pay $10,000 more than MSRP, they'll give the car to someone else. GM has been doing it as well. Mercedes, they've been the worst. $50,000 markups on some of their electric cars. But why do I say Mercedes have been the worst? Well, Mercedes are saying that they, as a brand, agree with this and that buyers should just suffer and pay them more money because the Mercedes vehicles are apparently worth $50,000 more than MSRP. But it's not really the point, is it? The point is that you are misleading and being dishonest to customers. And that is why these kinds of predatory tactics from dealerships are really bad for brands, because it creates a sour taste in the mouth of a consumer. And then what does that consumer do? You have one bad experience, you tell 100 people, right? You have a good experience, you tell 10 maybe. That one bad experience, one really bad experience, what do? They go and send me a message. People go and tell other people on YouTube. They tell news channels. That's what happens. That's why it's a really bad idea. I've got to give credit to General Motors and Ford though. Unlike Kia and Hyundai and Mercedes and possibly other manufacturers who have said nothing or supported these practices, at least GM and Ford are trying to do something about it. Ford held its fourth quarter and full year earnings call last week, where CEO Jim Farley addressed, among other things, the price markups dealers were placing on electric vehicles. Now, before I get into this, some of you here on the channel say that I'm a Tesla superfan. I'm just going to clear this up with you now, right? I just said General Motors and Ford are doing something that's positive, right? I, in fact, gave them credit. I think big credit. In fact, I've given them credit on many occasions for some of the decisions over the past 6 months. Are those the actions of a Tesla fanboy? Just worth thinking about that, hey? Anyway, we don't like making our customers wait, and we're taking action to ensure that they don't pay unreasonable markups, said Ford CEO Jim Farley. Brian Johnson, an analyst with Barclays, asked Ford board members how the company could balance EV prices between invoices, revenue per vehicle, and actual transaction prices at the dealership level. Johnson estimated that Ford was leaving about $1,850 of profit in dealers' hands for about $3.6 billion in profits with the current franchise system. In his response to the analyst, Ford CEO Jim Farley made sure to differentiate between ICE and electric cars, stating that the answer to the analyst's question would differ between the two types of vehicles. Farley shared that 10% of Ford's dealers were overcharging customers for electric vehicles last year. On the electric vehicle side, he said, this is quite an important topic because the margins that we want to build into electric are going to be heavily dependent on a different go-to market and customer experience. I won't go into any more than that, but this is quite an important lesson for us on the franchise system. And the way we manage this going forward matters. But I'm very optimistic now that our team has the intelligence in the market that we put an allocation trigger in for those dealers who choose to price that way. But it's inefficiency, no doubt about it. So the CEO of Ford is saying it's an inefficient way to operate, having to do this. But he's saying that we're going to deal with this by saying to dealers who are gouging customers by not sending them electric cars. He's basically going to freeze them out. This is essentially what he's saying here. This is a good move. Now I want to make this point. A lot of you say that Tesla fans are ridiculous, right? This article that I'm quoting from here comes from Teslarati, and they are clearly supporting Ford here. Clearly, the article is saying Jim Farley is making an effort to combat these tactics, and they're not criticizing him at all. In fact, they're supporting his methods. So it's worth considering the fact that for many of you who think in binary terms, black and white, we're not all black and white. We don't have to be, just because we're a fan of one car company doesn't mean we can be a fan of others. Personally, as many of you know, I am definitely a fan of Ford as a brand. Last month, say Teslarati, Ford sent an internal memo to dealers in the United States and Canada, advising sales staff not to apply price markups to the upcoming F-150 electric pickup truck. The Lightning is Ford's all-electric pickup truck, and deliveries are expected to start in the spring. Now, they have more than 200,000 pre-orders, and I think by the end of this year, they'll have more than 300,000. At the recent Ford earnings call, Farley stated that the company undercalled the demand for its first wave of EVs. In fact, they've said this many times. They've said it's their iPhone moment. They've said that Ford drastically underestimated demand for electric vehicles. He was referring to the Mustang Mach E in particular and the Ford F-150 Lightning. Now, in the past 6 months, Ford has reacted to this demand somewhat. They've increased their output now on three different occasions, and they've said they're going to quadruple their original numbers. That's a good move. Hopefully, they can go further than that. Ford doubled its 2023 planned capacity to EVs to 600,000 units a year. 600,000 a year. That's impressive. If they can deliver that many EVs in 2024, that would be great. Under Jim Farley's leadership, Ford has made some really smart moves over the last 6 months. You can't say anything other than that. He's looked at what Tesla is doing. He's looked at what Volkswagen is doing. He's looked at what GM is doing. He's admitted where Ford's weaknesses are. And he's tried his best to instill the right culture at Ford. It's really a risky situation that Ford are in right now. Ford really have to go all in on EVs. If they don't, they'll be left behind. But to do so, they have to invest a lot of money. Many, many billions of dollars, which Ford, they already have a huge and astronomical amount of debt, especially in comparison to a company like Tesla, who also doesn't have billions of dollars of stranded assets, which are what ICE production lines are. Even ICE factories can be stranded assets as well. It's not easy to turn an ICE factory into a battery factory, as evidenced by the fact that many companies just basically give away factories, old factories, for pennies on the dollar. It's happened on numerous occasions. So Ford are definitely in a somewhat of a bind, but they can get out of it, I think, as long as they support Jim Farley. And his leadership, I believe, is very similar to Herbert Diess's. He's pushing the company in the right direction. In my view, there's 3 CEOs right now that are really leading the automotive industry: Herbert Diess, Jim Farley, and Elon Musk. That's why I believe those 3 companies are very likely to succeed and pull through this incredible disruption we're facing over the next decade. It's going to be a fun, exciting time to be alive. There's going to be enormous market changes. Toyota will certainly lose a lot of market share. I know people are still criticizing me for this belief, but come on, if you're not all in on EVs, and Toyota isn't, then you're sitting on the fence. If you're sitting on the fence, you've lost the game. Thanks for watching the channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.